Well, good day, everybody. It's 31st of July. It's Thursday. It's about 3:15 in the afternoon. And I am... Where am I? Let me show you where I'm at here. I'm at the food court at a shopping mall. Momo Shopping Mall. You can look that up on the map. Momo, M-O-M-O Shopping Mall. It's in about the it's towards the southeastern part of Minsk. Google Maps will tell you where that's at. Okay, talking about the news. I'm going to get jumping right into that here. So, as we know, Donald Trump is imposing tariffs all over the world. You know that Donald Trump, it seems to be his weapon of choice for everything that he does is tariffs. More tariffs and tariffs and more tariffs. Okay, well, we'll get into that. But virtually on everybody's got to pay tariffs. You know, strangely enough, he's not charging so much tariffs on Russia. I think he's holding that one back, and he's going to probably go into his 100% tariffs. There are people looking at me here. I'm trying not to talk too loud. Okay, but virtually everybody. Zelensky, let's see. So, he started with a new policy. As we know, Russia has been returning a lot of these dead bodies of Ukrainians that have been killed on the front line. I guess they think that that's a decent thing to do. I don't know what Ukraine thinks. Maybe Ukraine believes that Russia's got some plan or something. Yeah, you know how that is. Everybody comes, oh, Russia's got some plan. They're doing something nasty. But it turns out that, I guess it was in June, Russia turned over 6,000 bodies. They got 1,000 right now, or 3,000, I don't know. But lots of bodies of Ukrainian soldiers. And, you know, there's all sorts of little, little plots, Ukraine saying, oh, some weren't Russian, or they weren't Ukrainian, they were Russian, and of course that's BS. I don't know. But Russia's went through those bodies multiple times, and they're not Russians. If anything, there might be some mercenaries, I don't know. Lots of Colombian mercenaries, as I've said in other videos, but there's mercenaries from a lot of places. Paraguay, and lots from Poland, as you all know. So, let's see, Zelensky's policy. It's very bad what's going on. He says if they collect these bodies from the Russians, he's calling them, instead of being, you know, killed in battle, or he's calling them traitors or defectors, that they defected. So if Russia is able to get their bodies, then they're defectors. So they don't pay compensation to the families of the Ukrainian soldiers that have died in the war. So they're just trying to save money, in other words. That's quite a few thousand. Like I said, 6,000 in June, and there's maybe at least, I don't know, maybe 10,000 already that they've done. But they just talk about June, there's 6,000 families that aren't going to get any compensation fighting for Ukraine and dying, you know, maybe with Russian utility or artillery. And of course there's times like going on in Gaza and everywhere else, as you know, where bombs are dropped on these people and they're just blown to many, many pieces. You can't really get together finding a finger here and a part of a leg over there, or whatever, you know, how many people actually died. So no benefits. Another move to get money seems to be that Ukraine is selling military equipment. And as you all know, they've been doing it in Africa, they've been doing it in the Middle East, but it seems like also now in Thailand. So a lot of the equipment rolling down the streets is Ukrainian equipment. Well, is it Ukrainian? It's American equipment. Or, as you know, Annalena Baerbock, she's the first one that started out when they started selling Ukrainian tanks to Ukraine. They're not German tanks anymore. I mean, they were selling, German tanks to Ukraine. Oh, all of a sudden, they're not German, they're Ukrainian tanks. So, who knows? But there's like Marauders, and I don't know about Abrams. I don't know if they've sold Abrams to Thailand, or whatever. But there's videos of that, I guess, in Thailand, rolling down the streets, and of course, then there's airplanes from the west. I think I saw, I think it was Mirage. I think it was French airplanes, going to bomb Cambodia or whatever. I don't know. I don't know that much about that war. I guess the best one, like I said last video, is Brian Berletic. Look up Brian Berletic. He's based in Thailand, so he could tell you a lot more what's going on. But of course, as you can imagine, he's in Thailand, so he's going to put the kid gloves on if he's talking about Thailand. So, I don't know. It's not that easy to get a... I'm just lucky I'm in Belarus. I'll tell you what. I'm lucky I'm in Belarus because Lukashenko really doesn't do that many screw-ups, maybe none at all. So, I don't have to try to hide anything that he's doing. Even though the opposition comes up, they come up with some suppositions and, he was cheating doing this, So who knows? A lot of it has turned out to be lies anyway. A lot of the things the opposition says about the Belarusian government. But let's keep going. It's nothing to do with us right now. Another move to get money seems to be like Donald Trump's actually with his... Well, I won't go into tariffs yet. I'll get to that in a minute here. And it looks like, what is it? Israel sold U.S. weapons to Azerbaijan. So there's a lot of this weapons trade going on around. It's not just selling organs and drugs and, God forbid, children. I'll have a little bit say about that too. That's going on in the world today. So Israel is selling U.S. weapons, as well as Israeli weapons, of course, to Azerbaijan to fight the Armenian Christians. I think it was put on Tucker Carlson. He was mentioning that's really weird. So they're killing Christians. The Israelis are selling weapons to kill Christians. So that's maybe the point he was trying to make. Now, let me keep saying here. But a lot of countries are getting sick of Israel's killing and their genocide. Particularly with children, and I've been saying that since, in 2024. Of course, the whole world is going. It's a war against children all over the place, like Ukraine and particularly Israel. Israel, they really want to kill children. So this is really sickening stuff. We never had this before in the old days, in the 40s and 50s. You never heard about people specifically wanting to kill children. Not like the Israelis really do. It used to be in some of the worst people in the world, like mafias and things like that. You don't touch children. Even when you go into prisons, like I worked in a prison for 3 years, and the ones like child offenders and things, they get it the worst. And I don't know if I've told you about some of the prisoners and some of the things the ones that did to children, and they can't hardly even come out of their cells. They can barely go eat. And I worked in the sex offender units, or one of them. There was two units. One was like a lot of young criminals, and they had like a corridor in between where the counselor sit and the custody unit supervisor, the CUS, the CUS, and the guy that kind of runs things between those two sides. And one side was sex offenders and the other side was a lot of young criminals. But even amongst the sex offenders, if you were a child sex offender, that did not go over very good. They had one guy, they didn't, and it makes you wonder, maybe these prisoners know about the crimes of all of the other ones. There was one guy, and he had some affair with a young girl. I think she was like 16 or 17. And even the guards didn't have a hard time with this guy. He was a cordial guy and all that. And I think that's his only crime, and I don't know, somehow he got put in there, didn't get any extenuating circumstances. Every day he came by, or when whoever was in the office at that time, and he asked for an aspirin. I guess he thought it thinned his blood, he said it, maybe it helped from cholesterol. I don't know. Okay, but let's see. Anyway, we're watching all this genocide. And I think even Trump has said something about it, but as you all know, you just have to look at the science. And let's be honest, Donald Trump is enabling the genocide of the people of Gaza. And in my opinion, everybody's got a different opinion. Donald Trump comes up and says, oh, stop the killing in Ukraine, stop the killing. Why doesn't he say that about down there? Oh, he wants to get rid of Hamas, right? But why is it that probably for every Hamas that might be killed, maybe might be killed, and who knows if they do, it's like, what, 20 children and maybe 10 adults? So I guess Donald Trump is perfectly fine with that. Like when he killed Soleimani, he killed 16 other people besides. Turns out that Soleimani was not doing what Donald Trump said he was doing. He was not the dastardly guy that Trump had made him out to be. And I was saying back then, I don't know what was that in Trump's presidency back in 2019 or whatever the year was when he did that bombing. I was thinking he was just misinformed. And it's very easy to get misinformed, and I'll talk a little bit about that as we go on as well in this video. Some of you also, I have to mention, you guys like the long form videos. I kind of like doing these. Like I said, I like to get this off my chest, all this crap going on in the world. And we have an expat group over here in Belarus, and we mention a lot of this stuff too, all the woke things that's going on there, like two gay guys adopting a baby, and one turns out to be some kind of a pedophile, that he had sexual relations with children, and it just makes you kind of sick, the stuff in the United States. They put a lot of other stuff on there too, the other guys. I put some things on there, but I don't know. We're glad to be in Belarus, all of us are. One guy was in TSA? He was a high-ranking person in TSA, and he moved to Belarus, and he's happy here. One guy was in the military as well. He worked on helicopters. I don't know if he was a mechanic or whatever. And then what are some of the other guys? One guy was like in things, and one guy is actually Canadian, and I don't know. The other guy he's in medicine. So, but that's all I'll say about that. I'm not going to drop any names, but there's more Americans here, of course. I met a guy from Los Angeles, and he's a little bit strange, so anyway. Let's keep going. So Donald Trump enabling that as well, and I'll maybe even mention more about that. It kind of sickens me. Donald Trump, I'm getting kind of pissed off about him, and it's his misinformation he's putting out all over the place. Anyway. Okay. Whenever they're going to fit, and there's a lot of news going out now, and I think even Donald Trump put this out. Speaking of Donald Trump, and then I guess there's high-ranking officials. I can't remember this one weird guy with glasses, and the very high-ranking guy in the Israeli government, and there's military people, and they're saying whenever they get all these hostage back, then they're going to really bomb the crap out of Gaza. And old Donald Trump talks about leverage. Oh, you don't have any cards. Remember when he said that to Zelensky? So he's telling Hamas that they should give up their cards. And their cards are the hostages. And when they have no hostages, they're going to bomb and kill everybody. And Donald Trump, of course, is going to love it. He can get his big real estate deal there in Gaza for his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, so they can build their hotels, kick out all the Gazans, which, of course, is what they're going to do. You know what's going to go on. I've mentioned that in other videos. Don't want to even get into that. And of course, then Israel can start on the West Bank, because the long-term goal is, it is a long-term goal, is to create Eretz Israel, Greater Israel, and they're going to take that land, and of course, all of at least the southern Lebanon up to the Litani River, probably parts of Egypt as well. And I'll tell you what, Jordan, you think you got kind of a good deal going there with Israel? Well, good luck on that. They're going to take a lot of Jordan, Transjordan, and all that as well. That's part of Eretz Israel. Really nasty people. It's terrible. And that's exactly how they took over Palestine to begin with. What was his name there? The guy that wrote a lot of novels about this sort of a deal between the Palestinians. And they're novels. well, so you might like it, but actually he's pro-Israel. His name is Leon Uris, and I think I read The Hodge, and I read another book from him, and but it adds some things in there that tells you the very truth about that, what that is. Like these people, I don't know. There's probably some of his books go around from the history when it comes like from the Balfour Declaration and the Sykes-Picot Agreement and all of that sort of thing. It's a history, and it's really terrible for the Palestinian people. And it's just too bad that the Palestinians are the descendants of Jesus. Oh, isn't that strange? But yet we want to help the people that murdered Jesus, Donald Trump. I don't even want to get into that. I don't even want to think about it. I think Candace Owens, she has been talking about a lot of things like that. Candace Owens, what a jewel. Listen to a lot of things. It's like you think she's some kind of a nutcase because she's telling the truth that a lot of people are afraid to talk about. But, okay, that's a tangent. I want to get off on that, so let's go to something else. Okay, genocide enabler Donald Trump. And a lot of people are saying France, Canada, and Great Britain are saying that they are going to recognize the Palestinian state. And Vladimir Putin had said the only way that this is all going to stop is when you do recognize the Palestinian state. And a lot of people used to talk about, they have to establish it on the 1967 borders, which was agreed upon. And, it's gone beyond that. The Israelis have taken over such a massive amount of territory. I don't really know. And I don't even know. A lot of people say that the French, the British, and the Canadians, they're not even going to go with that. And just because they said that they want to recognize the Palestinian state come September, well, why not do it now? And they said there's countries, I think it was Chile, some of the ones in South America, they said, we recognize the Palestinian state. Well, why don't these three countries do that? These three Western puppet governments of the United States. Donald Trump is very angry. He said it's very, very angry about Canada saying that they are going to recognize the Palestinian state in September. So it makes you wonder, is this going to come about or not? What is he going to do? Put sanctions? Donald Trump, I'm sorry, I'm disgusted with the guy. Like I said, there's some things I like about Donald Trump, but most of it, the guy's got a big problem. He's got a big emotional, psychological problem. He's big in his ego and everything else. And even like these sanctions he's putting on Brazil, and a large part of that is because Bolsonaro liked Donald Trump. Makes you wonder, well, why would Donald Trump like Bolsonaro? Just because Bolsonaro liked Donald Trump. That was a former leader of Brazil. Because Bolsonaro would not get vaccinated. He was not even allowed in the meetings with a lot of these other G20 countries because he did not get vaccinated. Oh gosh, what a criminal. So I don't necessarily have that much bad about Bolsonaro, but a lot of people, I think in the present government down there, Lula, I guess they said they have some evidence, and they want to put Bolsonaro, at least send it to court, at least, to find out, was he planning to overthrow Lula? So that's what that's all about, and Donald Trump doesn't like that. But what about Donald Trump trying to talk about what was going on with Obama? So it's actually the same thing. And Lula does not proclaim that he has the evidence. Donald Trump does have the evidence. Tulsi Gabbard does have the evidence. Obama, and Tulsi Gabbard is absolutely right. If they do not put the Obama administration on an investigation, this is just going to happen again. You'll do a terrible disservice to the United States, to its legacy in the future. It's incredible. I'll tell you what, as hard as it might be, they got to follow what Tulsi Gabbard says. Anyway, let me keep going here. I'm a tangent type of guy. Watching all these people here. Pretty girls everywhere. Anyway, people walking by, people looking. Okay. Let's see. So that's kind of why I say indirectly Donald Trump, he's in favor of all these massacres. He wants to also exterminate all these people off of Gaza. the West Bank. I don't know. I'm not saying Donald Trump is as bad as Satan. I mean, Satan Yahoo. So, but anyway, Trump wants to make lots of money. Lots of money. And Satan Yahoo. I mean, God, why did I say Satan? Did I say Satan Yahoo? Oh, I meant whatever his name is. The leader of Israel. He is saying there's no starvation in Gaza. Nobody is starving. People looking at me walking by. Nobody is starving in Gaza. Where do you get that thought? I mean, these pictures, it's AI. All of these children with their bones sticking out, and these dead children, 112 in one day, just a day or two ago. 100, what was it, 102 or 112 children friggin' in one day. But that goes even up to children like up in their teens and things like that. But a lot of babies, 5-year-olds, and it's really sickening. It's sickening to see. The whole world is getting sickened. I think there was even a comment by Donald Trump that didn't like that, which is really weird because Donald Trump, you know, he just comes out and says that he doesn't like killing, but he doesn't really mind it at all as long as some money can be made from that. That's apparently, I mean, I'm sorry everybody. I just judge people by their actions. I know them by their fruits. Didn't somebody say that a long time ago? Know them by their fruits, you know? And along with that, Donald Trump, what is his fruits? What is it about? He wants to stop the killing in Ukraine, but yet he gives the intelligence to Ukraine. He's sending, I'll talk about that too, a huge load of weapons to Zelensky. Zelensky is in seventh heaven right now. He does everything to help Ukraine. He wants to keep the war. Does he want to keep the war? Wait, no, he said he wants to end the war so he can get a peace prize. So why does he keep the war going? Donald Trump I don't think he understands himself. I think a lot of people would even say that. He doesn't understand himself most of the time. So where are we? Let's see, Israel and... So I guess there's all kinds of warnings from Satan Yahoo and Trump about leaders wanting to recognize the Palestinian state. Who knows if they're going to do it anyway? I'm looking at some advertisement. There's like a quadruple cheeseburger. How much cheese is on it? Anyway. I didn't eat anything yet, so. Let's see. Anyway, it's all a lie. Probably Donald Trump buys it. Donald Trump gets lied to all the time, probably by his intelligence. Not by Tulsi Gabbard, but by a lot of other people. So, talking about like the economic people, maybe the economic people telling him that Russia's failing our economy. They're in really bad shape. And I get into that too. Medvedev said something, and then Donald Trump hit up. I'll get it. And Medvedev hit back and said, well, it looks like the U.S. economy is dying, not the Russian one. But let's go. Donald Trump said he sent, 52 tons of aid to Gaza. That's according to the French Foreign Minister Barrot. And I heard something like about 94 containers of food. But nobody seems to mention, I guess, this French Foreign Minister Barrot, he said this on Face the Nation in the United States, so you guys have already got that information that are from the United States. But why don't they mention the fact that Israel did not let these containers come into Gaza? It's incredible. And then some people are trying to drop these crates. A lot of them went into the ocean. Some, like normal, they landed on people. And I guess where they dumped these crates, by parachute for the Palestinian people the Gazan people to get, because the aid is not coming in. I guess this is too far away from where all the children are starving. Doctors are trying to bring in things like baby formula. And Israel seizes all of it. They don't let any baby formula come in. Oh, that is great. Didn't I just say that the ones they want, the enemy, the biggest enemy is the children? That's something. I heard there's this word called genocide. It's sickening anyway. And I mentioned, I think, on the last video that Donald Trump was accusing Russia of bombing a nursing home. It's very strange that nobody put that out. Nobody. It never came out anywhere. Maybe, makes you wonder in the fake news, the ones that Donald Trump says is the fake news in the United States, I don't know, maybe they put it out. We didn't get anything about it over here. And I don't even think that Netanyahu would bother to bomb a nursing home. They bomb the kindergartens because that's where the children are at. They wouldn't bomb a nursing home. So I was thinking that Donald Trump just was mistaken, that he was thinking of Benjamin Netanyahu when he decided to say that it was Putin, but it was probably the other way. Putin did it. Anyway. Yeah, all these. So none of those containers were allowed in, and most all the food in there was rotten. It rotted. Anything that's like vegetables or even avocados or apples or anything like that. Maybe they could hold for a week or two, but maybe not in that sun. I don't know how warm it is there. Anyway, it didn't hold, and the settlers get to raid all the rest of the stuff. They steal it, or they burn it, they destroy it. It's terrible. Like I've said a lot of times, just like in Ukraine, how they brainwash their own people. They brainwash their people to think that, like, say, in Ukraine, that the Russians are an inferior people. And it was like maybe that a little bit in the United States, maybe in the olden days, long before most of us, or all of us, were born. The black people were inferior. I think it was even part of the Constitution. Maybe I don't think it's in there anymore. That a black person was 2/3 of a person or something like that. And I don't know. I mean, it's like it's still a lot of this stuff going on, and I even had seen a lot of this stuff like racism. You see this, or even just going against any kind of an ethnic group. Like what's going on in the UK. Like they give more privileges. They give more privileges to like maybe men from Pakistan to groom young girls. They don't put them before the courts. They enable them and things like that. Or they put like migrants after they bomb these countries like Afghanistan and Syria, and then they put them in luxury hotels and give them the food and all the benefits and everything like that. And the British people, they're kind of ticked off. I remember even back when I was in Germany. Let me tell you the years. It was at least like right around back in 1990. The Germans were kind of pissed off where they're putting the Asylbewerber into like hotels and houses and stuff, giving them food and Asyl, which means asylum people. That could be a little bit different, but yet they let it go on long periods of time. I mean, I can tell you a lot of things about what I remember was going on in Germany at that time. Even people that were even Muslims, they would go in and steal alcoholic beverages, wine, and things like that from the supermarkets, and they thought that they could just walk out with them without paying for them. I mean, I can say a lot of things. It was like film footage. Anyway, forget that. And so a lot of vigilante groups were coming out. And I tell you what, I'm not against these people. I'm against the policies of these Western governments that enable these people to be doing that sort of stuff. And like George Soros and a lot of people say that the whole idea is to get all these people and blend them all together, like get one identity, like say it's Muslim people from Afghanistan with the German people, with the Eastern European people, and then Muslim people from Morocco or something, maybe that are different. I don't have any idea. And stick them all together so that there is no identity, and people do not have an identity because they're much more easier to control. A lot of people thought that was the big theory of it, and it might still be, and it might be, and I'm not even sure necessarily. I think that Donald Trump, at least he's against that, as I say, like there's a lot of things that disgust me about Donald Trump, but there's a few things that are saving things, I think they talk about Tommy Robinson, this guy in the UK, and I don't know, he gets to be too nasty at times, and Elon Musk likes the guy, but I don't know, I guess it's too far to, it's easy to go too far, to get too extreme. I don't know, we need some other kind of a leader, somebody that has the right kind of a balance, and I don't know if if Elon Musk would be that person. He's talking about a third party. He's too busy anyway. Anyway, so it's not going to be Donald Trump, that's for sure. Donald Trump is a liar a lot of the times too. I'm positive he lies. I'm positive he lies, and I'm positive he's misinformed. So Donald Trump, he's a what do people say? He's a piece of work. You know, I guess that's the term that they use. A piece of work. Okay. So anyway, part of that I didn't finish is like old Satan Yahoo. He says that the Hamas is blocking that. Really weird, because even the IDF, Israeli Defense Forces, the military, the Israeli military, they say that that's not true. Hamas is not blocking any of the food distribution that is going into Gaza. So in other words, Hamas has nothing to do with that. That's just an excuse that Israel is actually doing that. Really nasty. Anyway, cleaning lady. Okay. Yeah, anyway, look, Trump is keeping the bombs going. He's keeping the bombs going to Ukraine. Apparently, it was only just a very short shutoff of weapons going to Ukraine, and the U.S. is still going. I'll get to that anyway. But Trump says that he's going to keep those bombs flowing because, in his words, he says that Israel has to finish the job. So what does that mean? Finish the job. Does that mean exterminating Hamas? Or does that mean ethnically cleansing the entirety of the Gaza Strip? You know? And it seems to me that when you are killing all these people, you're creating more Hamas. You know, when the... Anyway. The old Hatfields and McCoy sort of a deal. A lot of you older people, you know what that is. Unless you're a bimbo, you don't know what that is. I guess, are they? What is it, like Appalachian type families, and they were after each other the whole time for maybe more than a couple generations. I don't know. Interesting. Pretty young, very very young girl. I guess it's kind of a Trump's age. Let's see if I can show you. I tell you what, I'll get to that news a little bit later. See these two young girls? Now, those are really young girls. Normally, I guess, their parents shouldn't even let them out. What do they look like about? I have no idea. 12? There's some young girls my age. I'm just kidding. Anyway. So, anyway, Hamas is not doing any of that stuff. And Trump says he's going to keep the bombs going till they finish the job. And Donald Trump also said, you know, once they, and so did, people in the Israeli military, people in the Israeli government, they said that once, if and when they get all those hostages back, then they're just going to bomb the total crap out of Gaza. Oh, look at a third one came. Epstein girls. Actually, I tell you what, I don't know. They might even be that young. You know, these ones here, even, I know, it looks like one of them at least is wearing some kind of makeup. I can't tell you, I have not the faintest idea. How can somebody go after some of these girls like that? I don't think they even reach puberty. Anyway, let's keep going here. Keep the bombs going to Israel. Finish the job. Yeah, they've come right out and they said once they get all the hostages, they're going to mass destruction the place. You don't have any cards, as Donald Trump would say. Basically, what is Donald Trump going to say afterwards? Oh, they were stupid to give up their cards. And Trump is wrapped all around what does it say? Trump's wrapped around Israel's little finger. You know, they can get Trump to do anything they want to do. And many of these doctors, they're angry. Israel, like I told you about the confiscating, about all of this. They said they take every carton of baby formula. You know, I don't think these mothers, they get enough to eat either to be able to nourish young and for breastfeeding even. There's a former U.S. Green Beret that witnessed IDF and U.S. soldiers killing Palestinians in Gaza, massacred, that were seeking food, unarmed Palestinians. Terrible. A Green Beret, American Green Beret. Well, let's change gears here. The United States, as well as, of course, the Baltics, and of course Poland, and they've been talking about this. I've mentioned this in other videos before, but they want Kaliningrad. You know, very strange. They want Kaliningrad. You know, Kaliningrad, that's like an enclave. It's not connected to the rest of Russia. If you guys look on a map, you'd have to look at Google and look at where Kaliningrad was, or is. It at one time was Königsberg, and that was the Teutonic Knights. Like I said, I did a lot of my research in history back when I got my history degree with honors, by the way. I studied that portion a little bit. I guess, you know, normally called the Nordmark and things. I've mentioned that in a lot of videos, and it was the Nordmark, and it wasn't even the most northern part of the Holy Roman Empire. It was to keep the Slavic people, the Nordmark, and then they had you called them marches, maybe like Middlemarch. I think there's even a book or literature called Middlemarch and things like that. But anyway, this was established by the earliest European Union, the Holy Roman Empire, you know, started by Charlemagne in those days, back around 800 or whatever, and it was to keep the Slavic people out of Europe. It's amazing. You got to hear this from me, you know. They hated the Slavic peoples even back then, and there's like different Slavs. You know, there's the Eastern Slavs. I'm getting them all mixed up. Northern, I don't know if there's Northern Slav, but anyway, there's the group of Slavs. I guess it's Eastern Slavs. It's Ukrainians, Belarusians, and Russians. They are one family of Slavic peoples. Then you have I think it's probably the Southern Slavs, like Bulgaria and Serbian, maybe, and all those. And then I think they're maybe, what is it? Can't be the Middle Slavs. Maybe the Russian, Ukrainian, and Belarusian. I'm widening a little bit here. Maybe they're the Northern Slavs. And then of course they had the Slovakia and a lot of those other people. Maybe they were the Eastern Slavs. I don't know. Polish people are Slavic people as well, even though they use the Latin script. They use Latin letters in there, and they don't use the Cyrillic script, you know, named after Cyril the monk. But actually he didn't create that script. It was disciples of the monk Cyril. And a lot of this was developed in Bulgaria, by the way. And it was based, of course, on the Greek letters. Interesting stuff. Anyway, I forget a little bit of that. I used to know more. I forgot more than you know. Anyway, just kidding. The beer's taking effect a little bit. I'm getting a little goofy. No, but anyway, what was I talking about? Anyway, it's trying to take Kaliningrad, and let's see the general's name in the United States. So the U.S. and NATO, they're looking at the potential of them taking Kaliningrad, you know, seizing it from Russia, invading it, taking it over. And the U.S. general, and I'm not sure, I believe this was like, I used to work in this office, and I used to work for a commanding general. This one's name is General Christopher Donahue. He's the commanding general of USAREUR, United States Army Europe, as well as Africa. I don't think my boss had charge of Africa, and at that time they were thinking of starting an AFRICOM, and they did have an office, and it was in Stuttgart, Germany. I was in Heidelberg, and that was where my boss, who was USAREUR, the commander of American forces in Germany, and you know, of course, they had SHAPE, Supreme Headquarters Allied Powers Europe, which was based in Belgium, and it's kind of oversits my boss. And pretty much the entire time, my boss was Glenn K. Otis, was the 4-star general, and at that time, when I first started there, the commander, I've got an autographed photograph from Glenn K. Otis, as well as the Sink, which was the what is that? I'm braining out. The highest general in the United States military, who commands the whole military, and there was a. I also worked for Colin Powell at that time, and he was later on he became the Sink, commander-in-chief, or the, what is that really called? I'm just forgetting the name. Anyway, these jokers, these guys that that are big generals and things like that. And believe it or not, I'm going to show it to you. I'll show you some of these things at some point in time. My renovation is going right now in the apartment, and supposedly the bookshelf is nearly finished. And when the bookshelf comes, we can get into the boxes. I can find all the paperwork, and then I'll just show it maybe on one video. It's kind of bragging rights and things like that. I don't want to show any medals. Some of the medals were I didn't get medals, and most of the time I worked for my commanders did not believe in medals. Nobody got any medals. Nobody got any awards for the entire time when I was there from any of the soldiers. So, and you have a falling out, maybe with a captain who is the XO of the commanding general, and then anyway. That's all beside the point. Here I'm going off on tangents. Let me get back to things. It might be kind of fun for you guys to see this stuff, and maybe there's people out there that have also been somewhat involved. I might have even met some of these people. It's kind of amazing. You hear like Colonel Douglas McGregor, and who's the other person? And I keep forgetting his name all the time, but he's very, very good. And Colonel McGregor always talks to him a lot. And I think is he also a colonel? Maybe he's a lieutenant colonel. Anyway, I don't know that I've ever met any of these guys, but why is Douglas McGregor only a colonel? And it's just like Scott Ritter's only a major. He had a very big position. Really impressive stuff. But let's keep going. Okay. So this guy, this general is General Christopher Donahue, and he's also thinking, can we take over? He said it's possible. He said NATO has sufficient capabilities to do so. So in other words, yeah, they're really considering that. And as you know, they have these. The CIA has a lot of these. They do these analysis on every country in the world on what they need when they want to take over a country, and to do it in and all that sort of thing. That's part of what the CIA's business is all about in every country. Sometimes these things are outdated. I saw some data on some certain countries, and it's like, what? That's not even true at all anymore from that country. Anyway, but they're just little countries, and the United States can just roll right over them. I would think it would be the same thing back in the old days when Grenada, when they invaded Grenada, and this weird thing. I guess some nurse gets sunburned on the beach, so she gets a Purple Heart for being wounded in battle. These little girls crack me up over here. They really crack me up. Here's another. This is incredible. These really young ones. This one's not really, really young, but young. Maybe because she's small. Look over here. Just that now. No, but these young ones over here. Pretty funny. Epstein stuff. There's a couple looking at me, and they're probably looking at me like I'm some kind of weirdo or something like that over there. I wish I could show you guys this stuff. So let's see here. Let's see. Oh, as far as Donald Trump, I was going to talk about his trade deals. He has this, what is it, a 15% tariff, supposedly on Europe. He really screwed Europe. Everybody's talking about that. It's big news everywhere. He screwed Europe over. But he not only screwed over Europe, he screwed over Europe much worse. But he also screwed over South Korea. South Korea's also got to pay the 15% tariffs. And as far as the products from the United States going into South Korea, or the products of the United States going into Europe, zero tariffs. Zero tariffs. So in other words, the American products are going to be less expensive in South Korea and in Europe, but the European products and South Korean products are going to be more expensive in the United States. I remember, I think I have a guitar. I forgot the name of it. Guitar, and it was made in South Korea, and of course the price, it was kind of high, I thought anyway, but relatively good, considering certain things, you know. So that's why I bought it, obviously, and but they're in trouble. Just kidding. The girl there's not too young either. No, but anyway, it's going to be more expensive now. So, I wish I could remember the name of that guitar. I don't play so much anymore. Let's see. So zero, but then Europe, of course, they have to buy supposedly all this other stuff. $750 billion of this, $650 billion of that, and Europe doesn't really have all the money. And then a lot of this is partly, of course, has to do with the Ukraine deal, where they're going to buy these weapons and then shuffle them onto Ukraine. And I'm not too sure if that is actually part of the deal, what Zelensky just made with Donald Trump, I guess, yesterday. I'll get to that a little bit later on. So I don't know if that's part of this this sort of a deal with all this money for weapons. And of course, Donald Trump knows this, and Donald Trump, he wants to stop the war, but yet he keeps shoveling all these weapons into Ukraine, and he keeps giving these bombs to Israel, but he wants to stop the killing. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Yeah, I want to stop the killing. That's why I'm enabling one side to keep the war going as long as possible, because I want to stop it. Wait a minute, I want to keep it going, but I want to stop it. So I'm doing everything to keep it going, but I want to stop it. Does that make any sense to me? Tulsi Gabbard's probably pulling her hair out. These people aren't so stupid. You guys already know what's going on, and it's, of course, industry, of course. A lot of these people, what do they call it? Military-industrial complex, the same ones that made, what's his name, Lindsey Graham, jeez, who's banned. I guess he's called a terrorist in Russia, because he really is. He's never seen a war he didn't like. He loves all wars. But let's go again here. Let's talk about, you already heard about all the zero tariffs. Director of the CIA, Ratcliffe, said on Fox News that the CIA learned Clinton had a plan to accuse Trump of Russian collusion back in summer of 2016. That was way back then. And CIA Director Brennan even briefed Obama and Clapper about that. So they knew about this. You know, but it's already been exposed, and it's already in paperwork. It's already, there are witnesses. You know, but I'll tell you what, I doubt it. They're not going to take Obama away in handcuffs. Obama and Clinton, they did some really, really nasty things here. And Tulsi Gabbard was calling it treasonous. I call it treasonous. If you look at it, that's overthrowing the American system. The vote, I'll tell you what, tampering with the vote. What is the penalty? The death penalty. The death penalty for tampering with the vote. Obama did that. Oh, he's not going to get the death penalty because it's Obama. He's black. They're going to let him go. Jeez. You know. And I'll tell you what, there are black people that are really pissed off about all of this stuff. About, you know, it's like favorite. Why don't they just call everybody equal? Why don't they just say there is no black, there is no white, there is no Chinese descent? I mean, it's different when you're coming from these countries, you know, but when you're born in the United States, at least that, you know, you should have a, you know, and if somebody does go astray, you know, the law has to deal with them. But anyway, that's about one other thing. Oh, am I getting too long? I'm going to keep going here. Ooh, how many pages do I have? So all these people knew about it. And I was going to tell you guys about a lot of this. I told you already before, you know, that it was already put out that Ukraine was taking children away from their parents. And a lot of time, then they sent them to different places and they sold them, things like that, like in Germany and all that, you know, mostly probably the smaller children, I can imagine. And of course, they did this a lot of the time, out of safety reasons. And they made the parents, believe it or not, I remember in videos I put out before, they made the parents go and also fight the Russians or something, or they said they were going to, and yet they took the children. And the group that took these children are called the White Angels. Oh, they're very, very nice. And they forcefully took the children away from these parents, and then they sent them to places, never told the parents where they're sending them, other locations. And a lot of them went to Germany, by the way. Oh, and they went into foster care, and they adopted and things. They took their children away from them. The Ukraine is doing a lot of this nasty stuff. I'll tell you what, if a lot of this stuff really comes out, if Russia really exposes this, you guys are really going to get some news. And I'm surprised, I'll be surprised if YouTube even puts this up here, because a lot of this stuff, living over here and hearing about this stuff, it's really something. They have evidence. And so anyhow, some people are looking at me. The young girl over there, she's probably way too young for me anyway, but a lot older than these girls over here. So maybe just because she hears English, maybe she's learning English. Oh, the lady sitting next to her with her kid. Oh, she's nicer. I can't show you though. Anyway. Okay, Medvedev came out and said that Trump crushed Europe. Lavrov says Trump's deal will further deindustrialize Europe. Oh, that's very obvious. Jeez. I don't even understand how. And the rest of you, any of you that have been looking at this, how in the heck could Europe go along with this stuff? To engineer the complete destruction of their whole continent. Wow. So the deindustrialization of the EU. And Trump was trolling Russia, saying it was a small economy. It could be strong. Now it's not, he said. Russia could be rich. And Donald Trump, obviously, he's conducting a psyop. That's how it's done, because Donald Trump, a lot of times when he come out and puts this, a lot of Russians are going to be reading this stuff too, because Russia does not, and like Belarus, they don't censor the news. It's not like, the United States or Europe, where they block a lot of the stuff. They don't block the stuff here. We get all the news. We get everything Donald Trump says or anything. We get, you can watch everything from CNN, anything over here. But like RT and Sputnik in most of these countries, it's all blocked. France, it's blocked. Germany, it's blocked. I know that for a fact because I was there. I don't know. And I heard that somehow that RT is far more popular in the United States than CNN. But I'm thinking that people are using an IPN. You can do that through Opera, and you can view this stuff. Even though you're not supposed to view it, but you can. What is it? EPN or what? I don't know. Anyway, but you can have it as if you're in Russia or Belarus or something, so that you can get all of this news, and I think you can switch back and forth, and you can get all the news in the United States and all the news in Russia. VPN, I think is what it's called. And Opera, I guess, that's a search, that's like Google. You look up Opera instead, and I guess you can do that. And what else here? But Russia has a small economy. Very strange, isn't that weird? It's like the third or fourth biggest in the world. And it's been moving up the ladder all the time. It kicked out Germany, and then it kicked out Japan, and now it's up there. I think maybe Russia's in third place. Oh, but it's a small economy, Donald Trump says, and they're really suffering. The economy is really suffering. But it's the GDP. I think it's the growth of the GDP. I believe it's higher than the United States. It's higher than all of Europe. So and their trade turnover with so many countries. I guess even today, the leader of Laos is in Russia, and the trade is increasing with most all of these countries. More and more and more trade. More with Africa. It's incredible. So anyway, Russia's getting richer all the time. Pause. Well, I had to put it on pause. It's one of the people that, probably the young girl that I was looking at over there, turned out she's an American. What a surprise, from Philadelphia. And her name is Christine. If she's going to be watching this video, I don't know. And I like her father. I didn't meet her father, but but I like him already. So anyway, she said her father is a lot like me in a lot of different ways. So anyhow, hi Christina, if you watch this video. Hi Christina's father. So anyway, where was I at talking about the news here? Let's see. I say Trump was trolling. Oh yeah, I said that about already. Trump was trolling Russia and trying to convince a lot of these. Actually, you think about what Trump is trying to do. His video was aimed not only at Americans, but it was aimed at the Russian people, trying to think, oh, that you got bad leaders. Oh, Russia could be a rich country. Oh, but your leaders are holding you back. Any kind of thing like that. So, like I said in another video, Trump, I think I even titled that video, Trump is very manipulative. And there's things I like about Trump, sure. And I guess it's America first. Maybe if you're for America, I guess it's all great. But he's not a fair deal maker. There's no doubt about that. Look at what happened to the European Union. Look what happened to South Korea. I mean, Donald Trump, I guess like everybody else, it makes deals. You want to get the best out of the deal. So, I don't know, you can't blame him on that. But not everybody's a bunch of suckers. Like Russia's not a bunch of suckers. Serbia, of course, is not. Serbia is a weaker country, unfortunately. A lot of things are going to have to be, done to them, sadly enough. I hope I have enough battery. Anyway, let's see. So, Lavrov said, you know what they were, remember, not long ago, the word was put out that they're trying to bleed Russia dry. Bleed Russia white, I guess was the thing. And Lavrov put out, and his words were that they're trying to bleed Europe dry. Interesting. There's some other young girls over there. I think, the Christina, I think she said, what she was, 15? Amazing, very, knows what's going on in the world. These other girls looking over here, they're probably 13. And she was saying that the other ones that I was looking at were probably about 10. I can't judge these ages. Epstein ages anyway, maybe even 15, of course. Christina, watch out. No, I already told her about that. Watch out. Get a lot of crazy old men with money. Okay. Let's see. So, yeah, Lavrov was saying the investments are going to continue to flow, as they are starting already big time now, to flow from Europe and into the United States. Wow. And it's like weird, I think, did I write this wrong? But the EU people are even bragging about that. They're bragging about the fact that they're getting fleeced. They're getting fleeced by the United States. I was like, what? Anyway, Armenia, and we're talking about how the Armenian government, Pashinyan, he's taken over the church, basically, trying to put it under subservience to the government, In other words, not a separation of church and state, just like what a lot of people are, like I mentioned in the videos, they're doing it like Ukraine. Well, that lady's not, that's, I guess, the mom. They're making the church subservient to the government, linking it in some way. So we have to just keep watching what's going on with Armenia and, of course, with Azerbaijan, and never been friends. But it looks like the United States is still trying to tear those two countries away from any sort of a cordial relationship with Russia, as they are with other countries. Now, India. Let's look at India again, too. And Donald Trump was saying, I ended that war. I need another. That's one of my sixth Nobel Peace Prize. I ended the war between Pakistan and India. Look at these hands. Greatest economy in the world. But anyway, it turns out that India is saying that Trump had absolutely nothing, absolutely zero to do with the so-called, if it's going to last, peace between Pakistan and India. And somebody said that Trump alludes to the fact that he made 29 calls. And India is asking, well, to whom? Who did you call? Who did you make these 29 calls to? It wasn't anybody that we know. But of course, he might have been calling Pakistan. I have no idea. 29 calls to Pakistan. Yeah. But they solved it on their own. Yes. And Trump as he just said, he's good friends with India. That's why he's putting 25% tariffs on India. What is it? Brazil gets 50%. Probably, I guess that was influenced by Bolsonaro. And India, you know, it's... And Trump, I guess he admitted, and I said it already in other videos, and as you guys already know, it's all about BRICS. Trump has already more than telegraphed that he's going to go after BRICS. He's going to try to break the BRICS apart, you know. And it's I don't know. He thinks that they're trying to replace the US dollar, and of course, indirectly, I guess it would replace the US dollar, but they're not going out as like what Trump is saying. They're not coming up with their own currency. I guess they want to have various currencies, and of course when they make their currencies a little bit more attractive, a lot of people are going to be saying, well, why would we want dollars when the other currencies are more attractive? Maybe they're going to be backed by gold. I don't know. A lot of them are trying to create I don't understand cryptocurrencies so much, so I'm not going to comment on that so much. Okay, and I already mentioned the 15% on Korea and Brazil. It's like 40%, but they had it 10% already. And I mentioned the 15% that he's going to put on Europe, but of course that's along with the 50% that he put on steel. I mentioned that in yesterday's video. Wow. What is it? I think I already said that is the American products get to go in at zero. Let's see. Zelensky came out yesterday. I already mentioned this a little bit at the beginning, that he made an agreement with Donald Trump, and he said it is a massive agreement. Just looking at girls all the time. Not 15-year-olds, not 10-year-olds, anyway. But what is it? And I only look anyway. So Zelensky said he's got this massive agreement with Donald Trump, and we already know about this other agreement. You know, what is it? This I get mixed up. It's the 650 billion is for the investments in the U.S., or is it 750, or is it 650 is for weapons? But anyway, I guess it looks like Donald Trump is going to be dealing directly with Zelensky, and so the weapons are going to go directly to him, and Europe is going to pay for them. Brilliant move, Europe. The EU. I guess that's, I don't know, maybe socking it to Russia, like taking the cold showers, as you all know. So, Merz, as you all know, he's probably going to be paying the brunt of it. But the UK and France, of course, are going to be involved. Denmark is involved. You know, Denmark, I think they sent their F-16s all over there. Oh man. And Zelensky, as we all know, and everybody's noticing right now, flattery will get you everywhere with Trump. Oh, you have to say Trump is the greatest. Netanyahu, I guess, figured that out much, much, much earlier. And Rutte, oh yes, Daddy Trump. And you know, Zelensky, oh, when we're so great, oh, Donald Trump is the greatest. So that's all you have to do, and you start to get a little bit more favors, you know, and do what the United States says, of course. But it's only, I think, obviously that what do they call it? It greases the skids. It greases the skids. You get in better with Donald Trump. Much better. Oh, it looks like I have to put this thing on here. Second video. I was hoping this would be connected to my last video, but I have to add it. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, Zelensky is thanking Trump that they're ganging up on Russia now, and the allies. I don't know. So let's see if it comes out to be true. I don't think. I don't know. Obviously, Donald Trump is more on the side of Ukraine. Always has been, giving them intelligence, giving them the bombs, giving them, you know, this and that. You know, Starlink, whatever. Oh, one of the last things I want to talk about. It's now come out. This is very big news. That why Donald Trump is trying to cover up this Epstein deal. Well, it turns out that this Epstein files. Maybe Donald Trump did not know about this, but there was some extra pictures. See if there's a reporter. One of the last times that Epstein was interviewed was by a reporter named Michael Wolff, and he disclosed, well, Epstein disclosed to Michael Wolff that from the old days that when Epstein had in his apartment in New York and Donald Trump was come over for visits, I don't know if it's one or more visits or whatever. Whatever they had anyway, at one time at least, maybe multiple times, Epstein took some photographs, and they suspected might even be Polaroids. This Wolff was not sure, but he looked like it was like some sort of pictures like Polaroids, and I think he had like a dozen or dozens, I don't know, of Donald Trump with some women of undisclosed age, and I guess it's been pretty much indicated that this age these are very, very young girls, and they're like much younger than this Virginia Giuffre or whatever. When you saw the picture with Prince Andrew and Virginia Giuffre, in that picture maybe she was 17 apparently, but these girls were much younger, and they had one picture and they had the face blotted out, and you can just tell the girl looked much, much younger, and she looked even younger. Well, they're older than those girls that I showed you over here, but younger than Christine that was sitting there, somewhere in between there. And it's not that there's any sex pictures or anything like that, but it's just a bad look for Trump, because the girl, at least the one that they showed, she was sitting on his lap and had her arm around him, and I guess there was some other pictures, and I won't even mention them, something about that there were girls, plural, and they're looking at some kind of a stain on Donald Trump's pants or something and having some big laugh about it. So, like I said, I don't know. Talking about Trump and young guys, there's this young leader in Burkina Faso, and I guess there's some evidence that Donald Trump wants him removed. His name is Ibrahim Traoré, very charismatic young guy, good friends with Vladimir Putin. Looks like he's been putting on a little bit of weight. Ibrahim, you better watch your diet a little bit. But he's he's also a military guy. He has desert-looking fatigues, around very, handsome young guy. If Donald Trump thinks this leader of Syria is handsome, well, this guy is a lot more handsome. But don't worry, I'm not gay. But anyway, you can see that he would be a lot more. He looks just charismatic, I could say. If I were gay, I'm just joking anyway. But he's a charismatic-looking young guy, and I guess he wants to get rid of that guy too. And apparently, this is the Sahel countries. Some stuff going on there anyway. But I don't know. Donald Trump, he not only, like he said, he wants the United States to be the masters of every industry on Earth. He also wants to be the masters of, apparently, every continent. The masters of the universe. Oh, it's terrible stuff. Donald Trump, I tell you what, his ego, making things really bad in the world, I guess. So, but anyway, but these pictures of Donald Trump, anyway, apparently the reason why you didn't hear about this stuff before is because it was kept in a safe, and the FBI did not have access to this safe. But I guess they do now. I guess they did now until recently, and I guess that's why this has all come out in the last period of time. It's because of all these, I guess, these photographs, and Donald Trump has been made aware of them at the very least. So that's why it's the big cover-up of the Epstein files. In case you all want to know about that, you've probably heard about it from other sites already. Okay, and like I'm going to say that I don't think and didn't hear that there's any kind of nakedness or anything like that, but it still looks very compromising for Trump. So, and along with that, has not much to do with the Epstein files, but a lot of what's going on. I guess there's a little bit of a Twitter war between Medvedev and Donald Trump, and whoever has the last say, I guess, is the one who wins. And Donald Trump, normally in America and with everybody else, they always has the last say. But it's not like he's going to have the last say in Russia, especially if you're on Sputnik or RT. They'll block that stuff out in the U.S. But Medvedev is ahead. And Donald Trump, he comes up with this weird stuff that, like the Russia economy is very bad, and you know, he may as well say that Russia's losing the war, even though everybody knows it's not true anymore. I have no idea. Donald Trump is very badly informed, apparently, on a lot of things. So I would think a lot of intelligence thinks maybe that Tulsi Gabbard keeps him pretty well informed. But as far as a lot of other stuff, like economics, apparently he doesn't know his backside from a hole in the ground or something. I don't know. Is the United States doing as well as they say? Anyway, Medvedev was saying something about U.S. debt economy, but I don't know. Maybe Donald Trump is building things up for right now, trying to get all these industries to move to the United States. I don't know. Only time will tell. You can't build an industry and have the greatest economy in the world. Look at these hands. You can't have that all in 1 year. It's going to take a little bit of time. It's not like Russia started jumping up one place and the next, in 1 year. It took quite a few years since after Putin. Putin, as I put out in a lot of times, a lot of people know he's a lawyer, but after in his later years, he also took economics when he was already in politics, and he became very, very good in economics, as we can all tell. So that's about all I have to say for right now, and I'm going to try to put these two videos together and make one, I guess, long video for you guys that like these longer threads. And I'm hoping a lot of this information I put out is maybe stuff that wasn't available in the United States, so you guys can like it. Make sure you like it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Christina's dad, you better subscribe. Okay. Till next time. Bye, everybody.